Coloured filters. What are they for? Do you need them? Those questions answered and more coming right up. Hello, welcome to my channel Small Optics. My name is Jason. And first, before I start, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to all my 50 subscribers. Well, 50 plus now. I think I'm on 55 now. And I never thought I'd get there in a short amount of time. So I started uploading videos August of this year, 2020. And yeah, it's just fantastic that people are actually finding some use out of the videos that I'm doing. And that's the main aim of this channel, is just to helping you, the new astronomer, in this amazing hobby we've got. So like I say, once again, thank you so much to each and every one of you. Okay, before I actually start talking about coloured filters, on a really serious note here now, if you happen to come across a filter that looks like this, okay, you may have bought a telescope and it's got one of these things supplied with it, or you may think about buying one of those. Please don't buy one, and if you've got one, throw it away immediately. Okay, those things are extremely dangerous. Alright, they're usually made of cheap, inferior materials. They have been known to shatter and splinter in people's eyes before. How they get made and still supplied in today's health and safety rules is beyond me. So please get rid of those things. They're a menace to society. Now, one filter that may have come with your telescope is a moon filter or a blue filter. I've classed the blue filters as the versatile filter. They're pretty much good for everything, these things. But your moon filter is perfectly fine, okay? It's always worth upgrading probably to something a little bit better, especially if the optics on it are plastic, okay? Now, I'm not an equipment snob in any shape or form, but when it comes to optics, you really want to have glass, really. There are exceptions, where rare exceptions, where plastic lenses are actually okay. The SV Boni aspheric eyepieces, which I have actually reviewed, is one example. They perform really well. But as a general rule, plastic optics are to be avoided. But your moon filter is almost essentially, it's one filter if you haven't got, then I suggest getting very soon, especially if you've got a telescope above 3 inches of aperture. I mean, when you get into something like 100 to 150 mil, a moon filter is absolutely essential, okay? Because you may have already noticed how dazzling the moon can be when you're looking through. And the thing is, the way the human eye works, when you're subjecting it to so much light, when your eyes are dark adapted, you've got to remember the moon is in broad daylight, okay, and your eye will kick in those natural defense mechanisms, okay, to protect it from too much light coming into it. And it's a bit like if you can imagine walking up a street when the sun's low and the ground's wet. Yeah, you can see where you're going, but you're dazzled. You can't see everything, okay? And that's exactly what's happening when you're looking at a bright moon without a filter, okay? You may think that you're seeing, the detail you need to see, but you put a filter on there, have another look, and you'll be surprised how much more detail you can actually see. And then take it off and have a look at the moon again, and you'll be saying to yourself, how on earth did I ever look at the moon without one of these things? So what about coloured filters, like such as a red filter? Here, I've got this card, you probably can see it better. We've got a red, we've got greens, okay, different colours. Well, there is no strict rules really about how you should use a filter. I mean, again, everybody's eyes are different. But what you'll find is maybe some, there is guidelines, obviously. Some people say, like, for instance, if I use a red filter on an obvious target like Mars, it tends to bring out the darker surface details a lot better. I can get better contrast. okay? But again, the blue filter is so versatile for the planets as well as the moon. You can and nebula. It will actually bring out, enhance those nebulas a little bit, those faint fuzzes. But like I say, there's no strict rule of how you should use filters, because they do actually come. I mean, the better filters have 2 threads where you can actually start screwing and stacking filters together, you see, and you can just experiment with different colours. Now, if you're a refractor user, using a yellow or a yellow-green filter can really help cut out some of the blues that you'll get through chromatic aberration. And the thing is, when you've got false colour in your image, you really are suppressing the fine detail as well. So cancelling out and knocking out some of that blues with a green or a yellow filter, again, you'll find that it'll really crisp up the image for you, especially when it comes to the planets. Again, when it comes to the planets, I very often just bring out the blue filter. I'll find again, it's just all about contrast, and just experiment with different ones. You know, a blue filter might work, you know, because I can see Jupiter's spot so much clearer with a blue filter, and then somebody says, well, I can see it better with this green filter. You know what I'm saying? So there's no strict rules. Just play around with them. If you've got deep pockets, buy them all and play around with all of them. Now, a few little tips or dodges you can do with filters, because you know what it's like. I mean, I don't know if you've ever used a filter before, but how they work usually is they just screw into the bottom of the eyepiece like this, okay? Now that can be a little bit cumbersome, especially like if you're wearing gloves in the winter or even just in the dark. There's always a chance of dropping them. A little dodge you can do, especially if you're a refractor user, if you're using a star diagonal, one thing you can do is you can just screw, if you've got thread on the end of this part of the diagonal, you just screw the filter directly to the star diagonal, and then it's just a case of swapping the eyepieces. Okay, your filter's already in place there. Another dodge, which I use all the time, I call it the lazy man's dodge, and that is to simply just to drop the filter in the top of the eye cup like this, and it'll work just as well, just as fine, you know, and you can just use it that way. If you do wear eyeglasses, that can tend to be a bit of a hindrance, so you might have a problem with that. But do remember that it's in there when you're manoeuvring your telescope. You don't want this thing falling out and falling on the floor. I know this is only a short video, there's not a lot I can really tell you about colour filters, but it's just worth knowing, you know, because I remember when I first got into astronomy, you know, I thought, oh, you had to have this filter for this planet and this filter for that planet, and it's not true. It's just a case of on the conditions, on your own eyes, you know, what works best for you. So like I say, just experiment and play around, but I would recommend, I mean, the first filter, it would be a moon filter or a blue filter, is an absolute essential filter to get you started. Well, that about wraps it up for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, take care all. Bye-bye.